A few days ago, a few of you asked me, Beppe, would you be ready to sign for a 0-0 or a draw? Before the humiliation in the Maradona Stadium 5-1, Napoli 5, Juventus 1, I said no. At cost of losing the game, I want to risk it. I want to take the risk to play, to try. The few chances of victory, I want to take them, even if there are high chances that we lose. Well, Massimiliano Allegri yesterday, he did the same. Playing Chiesa and Di Maria simultaneously, he didn't sign for a draw. Chiesa as a right winger, he didn't sign for a draw. He wanted to risk it. And he lost it. But yesterday we lost more than a game. Yesterday we lost everything. Above all, we lost our dignity. I had one question. How would we react after a goal that we would concede? Because we didn't concede any goal in Serie A since Milan. Yesterday, unfortunately, I got my answers. Mamma mia. Oh yes, I got them. Cancelling the humiliation of yesterday, it will not be easy at all. Ciao Juventini of the world. My name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I put my face on it, of course, because we are here when we win. We are here also, and especially when we lose. Yesterday, historical loss. Just to remind you a few big humiliation scores that we had in our recent history. Well, we have to go back to Roma 4, Juventus 0 in 2004. A bit more recently that hurt a lot of us was Fulham 4, Juventus 1, 2010. Chelsea 4, Juventus 0 of 2021 with Max Allegri. What an humiliation in Stamford Bridge. We all remember it. But for a 5-1, we have to go back until 1993 versus Pescara. It was on the 30th of May in a season where Juventus at the end they won the UEFA Cup. I went back to the game of Chelsea. I wanted to understand what happened because Allegri was our coach back then. And the first thing I said in that video is that the main responsible is Max Allegri for the loss in Stamford Bridge because we are playing a 4-4-2. Irony is that 6 of the starters of yesterday were playing in Stamford Bridge from the start. We speak about Szczesny, Alexandro, McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot and Chiesa. 4 men in the midfield. We played 4-4-2 and it's really strange because yesterday after the 2-0 we go towards a 4-4-2 that in the second half is giving us that big humiliation and hit on our head that will be difficult to wake up from. Well, 6 on 11 were there in Stamford Bridge. If Szczesny couldn't do anything in Stamford Bridge, well, the worst one of the game that day was Alexandro. One of the worst yesterday as well. Chiesa was not involved at all in the game of Stamford Bridge, even if in the game at home versus Chelsea he was the one that did beautiful things and gave us the beautiful 1-0 at the 46th minute. Rabiot was bad. Not only yesterday, but also in Stamford Bridge. So, before entering the Juventus analyze, before speaking about yesterday, what happened, I sincerely want to congratulate Napoli. Because in defeats, you can be angry, you speak about whatever you want, but sometimes you have to take the time to also admit the reality when the opponent is stronger. And yesterday, Napoli was by far stronger than us. They were a stellar team. In every single aspect, they were superior than Juventus. They were fast, they were precise, they were accurate, they had grinta, they were physically strong and also physically healthy because they had nobody in their medical section. They were nobody suspended. Everyone was at disposal of Spalletti. This is really a praise that I'm doing to Napoli. DNA and style of play. A real orchestra yesterday. They were totally complete. Offensively, defensively, they were fantastic to watch. We have to admit it. The thing is, and it's sad, I want to use the word funny, but it's not funny. It's really sad, is that we perfectly knew how they would play. We anticipated here on the channel. I'm not a coach. I'm not a tactical expert. But in the last few days, we were explaining to the members, to the community of GJustjuve, how Napoli would play. And yesterday they did exactly what we said. Exactly what we said. From the first minute until the end. They were perfect. We knew it. We studied them. But we were not able to block them. Not even for a single minute we knew how to block them. Allegri went for the surprise. I told you he didn't want to draw or to lose that game. It was an important game for him more than what he said in press conference. And that's where he goes with that double surprise. Di Maria and Chiesa at the same moment from the start. I was absolutely not expecting it. That was his answer to what? To block Mario Rui and Kvaratskhelia. But also on the other side, doing actually a bit the same with Kostic on the left to block the other side with Di Lorenzo and Politano. Maybe we were thinking that having these offensive players, Kostic and Chiesa, in that 3-5-2, putting pressure up, that would have scared Napoli a bit and don't allow them to play their identity, their play with the double guys up super high on the field. Well, we flopped because from the first minute of the game, they knew what to do and they continue to do what they did since 17 games of the beginning of the season without being feared by Juventus, without being scared by Juventus. Didn't care about what Juventus' answer was. The surprise of Allegri totally flopped yesterday, and the main responsible of the loss of yesterday is Massimiliano Allegri for the starting lineup, because he risked it, because he didn't give any answer, solution to how to react after conceding a goal. And yesterday, what a disaster, because not only we conceded a goal, we conceded 5 for a team that conceded so far 7 goals. What about the individualities? Well, Bremer played his worst game, not only at Juve, but his worst game since he's in Italy. By far the worst on the pitch. Alexandro, a real disaster on a 3-man defense, but especially being exposed even more as a center back in a 4-man defense. This is not his role. For some people that were saying it's okay if Alexandro has to stay 1 more year. No, yesterday we understood why. We knew it, we said it in the previous day, but yesterday it was even more clear. Danilo, going back to that right back position, was totally devastated by a young, energyful player like Kvaratskhelia. I couldn't hold him. What a disgusting game of Danilo yesterday. From a 3-man defense to a 4-man defense, that 4-man defense is a disaster, and it showed and it exposed also the fact that Juventus can't play with a 4-man defense because we don't have the man, we don't have any fullback, and we are missing someone as a center back. The problem is that Bremer, that played his most disgusting game with Juventus, he can't play in a 4-man defense. He was the best in Italy because they were playing with Torino in a 3-man defense. Rabiot went back to the Rabiot that all of us were absolutely not appreciating. Anonymous, losing his contract with Anguissa. Anguissa by far physically better and more prepared than a Rabiot that until there we were speaking about even renewing him, preferring him over Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. I'm the first one to say that. Weston McKennie, that I praised, and I was one of the only ones that I praised versus Udinese, playing on that 3-5-2 on the right wing. Well, yesterday, in his original position, in the position where he should be really good, he totally flopped. He totally flopped. Never involved in the game. Never, never, never. If he's absolutely not at fault on that second goal, because that second goal is coming from Federico Chiesa. I explained that already. Maybe I will come later today with a tactical video to explain where the fault from Federico Chiesa were. We can't defend McKennie. That didn't bring anything. So yes, McKennie, he was already in the market. If we can stop with McKennie, it would be nice. Paredes was the solution from the start. From some people, even I said that. Well, the slow game of Paredes versus a fast-paced team as Napoli was absolutely not effective. The only one that I want to save in that midfield yesterday was Locatelli. Even if, what can we say from Locatelli yesterday? A performance of 6. Up front, Milik, that we were expecting that sense of revenge like Higuain had in the past. He was not present. Milik, invisible. Moiskin, that changed and subbed him at halftime, invisible as well. And that's why we understand that we are missing a guy like Dusan Vlahovic. Yesterday, Osimhen, we understood why he's one of the 3 best strikers of the world and why Milik is a super sub, one that can start some game, the one that we appreciate, but not a Champions League starter, not a Scudetto contending starter. The only player yesterday that played well was Chiesa. From the moment that we changed and he had the possibility to play on the left more offensively, fantastic player, never gave up. Not as a right big wing, not as a right back, especially not versus Napoli, not from the start of the game. He can do it versus Cremonese, Udinese, when Juventus is looking for that goal, thinking only offensively, like Ilin Jr. was doing at the end of 2022, but not from the start. But I want to praise Federico Chiesa about how he played offensively, the only one, and then the best one of Juventus, until he had some energies, Di Maria. Class player, the only one that was putting Napoli in danger. Unfortunately, Di Maria, not enough, and not enough energy. And that's the difference with a team that is able to run for 90 minutes. We're speaking about Napoli. I finish with one thing. We were not Scudetto contenders before. Let's not dream about it. I never really believed in winning the Scudetto because it's long. I was hoping, thanks to these 8 wins in a row, but yesterday we were exposed. There are still 20 games that we have to play. A lot can happen. We can again go with a winning streak, but we can also have other big loss. The last time that we lost 5-1, it was in 1993 versus Pescara, the game after we smashed Lazio 4-1. Let's see what we can do versus Monza and Atalanta. I want to finish with a really last thing is, I see a lot of people saying that the 8 wins in a row were luck. Guys, until now, after 12 minutes of video, I praised Napoli, I didn't defend Juventus, I blamed Allegri, I played a lot of players that helped us, but that are finished, especially in a 4-4-2 or whatever. But now let me just defend one thing. The team and the 8 wins in a row were absolutely not luck. It was an improvement. It was a way of playing that we were able to do with the men that we had. And probably it's the most that we can do. Probably we are not like Napoli. No, we are for sure not like Napoli. And we will probably never reach the level of Napoli with Massimiliano Allegri, with the men that we have in our team. But I think it's a bit a stretch saying that it was luck. You can't win 8 games in a row with luck. A lot of people are pointing out Cremonese, but people forget that we also played versus a beautiful Inter that was a Scudetto contender. We played versus Lazio that was a Scudetto contender back then. We saw some improvement. We were doing much better than the beginning of the season. But it's a reality that Juventus is a team that was eliminated in Champions League versus Maccabi Haifa, Benfica, and Paris Saint-Germain. And we are not there to win the Scudetto. Because the 8 wins in a row was an improvement versus a shameful team of the beginning of the season. We saved our dignity a bit in Serie A. Yesterday we went back to reality. We are not a Scudetto contender, but we also not a relegation team, as I see of a lot of people, and we also not a team that had some lucks in the 8 wins in a row. This is what I wanted to say in that long debrief without any editing. Hopefully, I wanted to say you enjoyed the video, but how can you enjoy the post-game 5-1 loss, historical loss of Juventus? Anyway, if you want to, you can put a maximum of like, you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you. And today more than ever, Forza Juve.